Hey everyone, so it's been a bit longer than I intended it to be since my last video, a few months. I didn't expect it was going to be this long, but to be perfectly honest, I've been a bit busier at work. Procrastination. And I've spent a fair bit more time with my girlfriend, particularly around Valentine's Day and my birthday, which was on the 24th of February, not long ago. But I've not really got any excuses now to not do one, considering the fact that the country is in lockdown because of coronavirus, and I'm not going to be going to work as much as I have been doing. I'm not going to be going out, obviously, because we're in lockdown. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time in this video to just talk about that. I'm going to circle around to some other things a bit later on. Some talk about a video game series which I'm a big fan of, but I'll come back to that in a moment. So coronavirus. So the country's in lockdown. Everyone's been told to stay at home unless you absolutely need to go out, unless it's necessary for you to go out, and even then not to go out in groups of larger than two. What does this mean for me? I mean, in terms of work, I can't work from home. The place that I work at, a supermarket, retail, it's considered to be essential, so that people can still get food shopping and basic supplies, things like that. I'm not doing anything else other than that. I didn't really used to go out before, anyway, to be perfectly honest with you, but I would go over to my girlfriend's every fortnight. I can't do that. I'd go over to my parents every Sunday after work for dinner and spend some time with them. Obviously, I can't do that. How do I feel about it? Not good, really. I don't like the fact that I can't see my mum and dad every week. I enjoy spending time with them. I enjoy sitting down, having a meal with them, watching an episode of whatever we happen to be watching at that point. At the moment, it's Star Trek Picard. Play a game, it's usually Ticket to Ride, and they usually beat me. And by usually, I mean every single time. The other big thing as well is not being able to see Tash and my son Sam every fortnight. That's a pretty big blow, to be honest with you. But the way that I see it, because I'm still at work and because retail is kind of it's not the most high risk situation to be in. Certainly, people who work at hospitals are in a much higher risk area of contracting any kind of virus. But there is that danger there at the end of the day. I'm still in a position whereby there are a lot of other people around, not as many as there used to be or usually is, but there are a lot of other people around there who have a chance of having it themselves and perhaps not, and probably not knowing about it, and who could pass it on to me. And if I was to take the selfish route and say, well, I'm still going to go over and see my girlfriend and I'm still going to go and see my parents, I'd essentially be placing them at risk, potentially, of getting it themselves. You can be a carrier of this, but I think the official figures are anywhere from 2 to 18, I think it is, days before you notice any symptoms yourself. So I could have it right now and not know about it. And that's a scary thought. And it's a scarier thought to think that by doing that and going over to see them, I could potentially be placing them at risk. And that's not something that I'm prepared to do. So as sucky as it is that I can't go over and see them, and it is really sucky, if any of them, and two of my nieces and nephews over there, they're quite young. They either have a respiratory condition already, or they have a condition that affects their respiratory system. That's the word. They'd be hit by it quite badly. And if that happened because I'd been selfish and I'd gone over there anyway and ignored that advice, I'd never forgive myself. So hopefully the lockdown only needs to last 3 weeks. 3 weeks as of Monday, just gone. It's now Wednesday that I'm making this video. So hopefully it only has to last 3 weeks. it's going to suck for that time. If it extends, it's going to suck even more. But I'd rather do this than the alternative. So that's my thoughts on that. And I just want to put a message out there for anyone who is ignoring the lockdown. Stop being a dick. To quote The Last Leg, stop being a selfish dick. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. Right. Some updates since my last video. I've got a new phone, which I'm recording this video on now. Hopefully, it's much better quality than the last phone that I was using, which was a HTC U11. It wasn't very good at all. I'm now using a Samsung Galaxy A70, a phone which I went for because it's got a bigger screen, which is better for video calls with Tash, so I'm glad I went for that. It means that the experience of video calling her is a lot better. I can see her a lot better, you know, which I like to do, really. The battery life on this is a lot better. The quality of the camera, certainly for pictures anyway, I'm not sure about video yet, I'll see after I've finished this video, is supposed to be a lot better as well, so fingers crossed that that all works out well. Other updates, not really a lot, really. I've been playing a lot of Jedi Fallen Order, which my girlfriend got me for my birthday, and loving it. It's a great little game. I'll probably talk about that a bit more in the future. I've also been playing a lot of Spider-Man on the PS4, another brilliant game. If you haven't played it, I'd recommend that you do, because if you like Spider-Man, if you like Marvel, if you have a PS4, it's definitely a good one to pick up. So I'm loving that. Now, that's really it for updates, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything else to talk about on that kind of basis. Yeah. Anyway, so this video game franchise that I want to talk about. So I spoke in my last video about my favourite game essentially of the last 10 years. It's a game called The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. It's produced by a video game developer called CD Projekt Red. They're currently working on a new IP called Cyberpunk 2077, which I'm also quite looking forward to. But they have released a statement recently saying that they are also planning on another game set in the Witcher universe. And there's not a lot of details out there about it now. They've kind of already said that, look, Geralt of Rivia, his story is done. He's not going to be a protagonist in another game that they make, which is kind of sad because I like Jerry. He's probably one of my favourite video game characters out there, really. But if they've told the stories that they want to tell with him, then I'd rather they leave it on a high note with The Witcher 3 than try and do another one and it not be as good. But it did kind of get, because me and my girlfriend, we came up with some ideas about the sort of things that we'd like to see. And I want to talk about them now. So here we go. So obviously, perfect world type situation. It's probably not going to happen, but best case scenario is The Witcher 4. Geralt as the protagonist and another stage in his story. We can hope, but there we go. That would be my perfect world. But there are some other ideas which I think are definitely bearing consideration. The next idea on that list would be a game that perhaps shifts the focus onto Ciri. Ciri was a great character in The Witcher 3. She's a great character in the Witcher Netflix series. And I hear she's a great character in the books, although I've not read them yet. So a game that kind of focuses on her more, or entirely indeed, would be brilliant. There are some speculations, I guess, about her perhaps being a bit too overpowered to be an interesting game protagonist, but I don't necessarily think I agree with that. I think it could be quite good. And I think what would be a great element to add to that sort of thing would be an option to play it in co-op. So my girlfriend and I played The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt the first time through together. I just always felt like it would be a much better experience to be able to be in the world as her own characters at the same time. Say, for instance, me playing as Geralt and her playing as Triss or Ciri or whoever. That would be really cool. And it would make the experience for me a bit better as well, because she's a much better Witcher than I am. She thinks about all the things like crafting and making bombs and making potions and collecting the ingredients for it and all this kind of stuff. Whereas I'm much more just leap in, hack, slash, use signs. And I used to die a lot in The Witcher 3, to be honest, more than she did by a fair margin. So being able to go in together and play the game alongside each other, not in a MMO style way, because I don't think The Witcher would be as good if it was an MMO, but in a co-op kind of way, like online or couch co-op, that would be great. I think couch co-op is something that definitely needs to come back, and CD Projekt Red, I think you need to be at the forefront of it. So there we go. And the last idea that we kind of bounced around, it is something that would lend itself to an MMO, but I think it's also something that could be done in a much smaller way. Say, not a large group of 20, 30, 40 people in a world at the same time, but a group of 2, 3, or 4 would be a game that goes back into the past of the Witcher universe, that goes back to the time when the Witcher schools were still at the height of their influence, I guess, in the world, where they're still training witches, where witches are still more commonplace. I think this would be good and would lend itself to you being able to load up a game and create your own Witcher, and choose what Witcher school you want to be in, and it'd have that element of customization to it, and you get to see the world in The Witcher 3. I mean, there's areas of civilization, but there's also areas of ruin. It's a world that's been kind of torn apart by war. So it'd be good to see the world before all that, and maybe just after the what was it called? Confluence of spheres, or conjunction of spheres, that was it. And magic entered the world, and witches were in need of being out there. So it'd be great to make your own Witcher. It'd be great to customize it. It'd be great to go in and go around and hunt monsters in a team of a couple of people, 2 or 3. Like I say, not an MMO, because I think in a game like that, if you're in a game like that and there's 50 witches running around in it, then, well, it kind of spoils how special you feel, you know. Whereas a much smaller scale cooperative game with 3 or 4 people in it, all as witches, doing jobs on their own or joining up to take on a much bigger foe that one witcher maybe can't do, I think that'd be brilliant. Which one of those 3 do I think is most likely? To be honest, I think probably idea number 2, a game that focuses more on Ciri. I think that's probably that could probably be where they try and go with it. But we'll keep an eye out for what CDPR announces next, really. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so I'm gonna make some more videos sometime soon. I always say that, but the idea seems to fall flat on its face. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't done already and you want to see what I do next, and share it if you think there's people out there that would like watching it as well. So appreciate that, and it really helps me out as well. Gives me a much bigger reason to keep doing it. So stay safe, be good, be kind, be sensible, and I'll see you next time. Take care.